Welcome back to the deep dive. This time, we're diving into World, formerly known as Worldcoin.
Right.
And we've got some excerpts from a YouTube video, featuring the founders and some key team members.
Yeah.
And it's clear they are aiming to do a lot more than just create another cryptocurrency.
Oh, yeah. They are definitely aiming high.
Yeah.
It seems like their vision is really about creating like a whole new layer of internet infrastructure for billions of people.
Billions. Okay, so full disclosure, the listener's already pretty familiar with Worldcoin.
Okay.
So let's just skip the basics. We're going to jump right into the juicy stuff.
Right to it.
What really stood out to you in this material?
Well, their starting point is fascinating. They are tackling this whole issue of AI advancement, head on. They're essentially saying, what happens when AI gets so good that you can't tell a real person from a bot online anymore?
Yeah, and that has implications for, well, pretty much everything, right?
Pretty much everything. I mean, think about it, like elections, e-commerce, social media.
Oh, yeah.
Chaos.
Yeah.
And their solution is this World ID, this proof of personhood thing.
Right.
But the way they are doing it,
the orb. Yeah, it's like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It is.
You actually have to go to a physical location,
right,
to get your iris scanned by this futuristic-looking sphere.
I know, it's pretty wild. But, they are really laser-focused on creating a system that can work at a global scale.
Yeah.
And that means they need something that is incredibly difficult to fake.
Okay, so iris scanning is the answer.
Seems to be.
But what about all the privacy concerns? I mean, handing over my biometric data to a company, even one with good intentions, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. They know that.
Yeah.
Which is why they've taken some pretty interesting steps, I think, to address those concerns.
Okay.
So instead of storing all that data in one central location, they are using this thing called secure multiparty computation. Okay.
It's kind of a mouthful.
Yeah.
But basically, they're splitting up the data and storing it with multiple organizations.
Okay.
So no single entity has access to the complete data set.
So it's kind of like cutting up a secret message and giving each piece to a different person.
Yeah.
So no one person can read the entire message unless they all work together.
That's a great analogy, yeah. And get this, they're not just stopping there.
Okay.
They're also exploring ways to link your World ID to government-issued IDs.
Wait, so you could potentially verify your age or citizenship without revealing all your personal information?
That's the idea.
Okay.
Imagine being able to buy, age-restricted products online without having to, upload a photo of your driver's license or something.
Right.
It can really streamline a lot of processes.
But it seems like they're going even further than that. They're talking about Worldcoin Deepfake, which uses, iris scans and on-device facial recognition to verify identity in video calls. Yeah. It's like they're building in protection against deepfakes.
Oh, wow.
Even before deepfakes become a truly widespread problem.
That's pretty ahead of the game.
Yeah, they're really trying to anticipate future issues.
Okay.
And if you think about it, the implications are huge.
Yeah.
What if you could verify that the person on a video call is really who they say they are?
That would change a lot about how we do business, how we communicate, even how we think about online relationships.
It would.
It would build a foundation of trust in the online world, that doesn't really exist right now.
Exactly. And remember, they are building all of this on top of their own blockchain, Worldchain.
Right.
That means faster transactions, lower fees, and a whole ecosystem of these mini apps that are specifically designed for verified humans.
So this is more than just a digital currency or a cool piece of technology.
It's a whole new paradigm, I think.
Okay.
It's a vision of an internet that's built from the ground up for a world where AI is just, ubiquitous.
Okay, but why the rebrand from Worldcoin to simply World?
I think it reflects their ambition.
Okay.
They are aiming to build this entire ecosystem, this interconnected network that touches so many different aspects of our lives.
Yeah.
They don't want to be limited by the crypto label.
Okay, so they are trying to solve a potentially massive problem with this incredibly ambitious project.
Yeah.
But is this something they can actually pull off?
Yeah.
I mean, to reach billions of people, they are going to need a lot more than just cool technology.
Yeah.
They need buy-in from individuals, from governments, from developers.
Absolutely.
It's a massive undertaking.
You're absolutely right. It is massive.
Yeah.
And that's where their focus on scale comes in.
Okay.
Now that we've got a sense of what World is all about,
Yeah.
let's dive into how they are actually planning to bring this vision to life.
Sounds good to me. Let's get into it.
So how do you get a futuristic iris-scanning orb in the hands of billions of people?
Right. It's a good question.
I mean, World is taking a multi-pronged approach.
Oh, okay. And some of their strategies are pretty out there.
Yeah, we touched on the orb on demand thing earlier.
Yeah.
It's kind of mind-blowing that you could potentially order one of these things
Yeah.
to be delivered to your door, like a pizza.
I know, right? Like a pizza or something.
Wild.
They're also opening flagship locations in major cities,
Okay.
partnering with existing retailers to create like self-service verification points.
Okay.
And they're even empowering individuals to become like community operators.
Community operators, what's that all about?
It's actually a pretty clever idea.
Okay.
Individuals can like buy or rent orbs
Okay.
and verify people in their own communities.
Oh, okay.
They're incentivized to do this through Worldcoin rewards.
Okay.
And it helps World scale much faster than they could on their own.
So they are literally putting the technology in the hands of the people.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a grassroots movement for digital identity.
It really is.
Yeah. And to make sure it's fair, they're using World ID to manage the distribution of the orbs, making sure that, everybody gets one.
Right.
Nobody can game the system.
Yeah.
It's a way to bootstrap adoption and generate excitement around the project.
Yeah, it's a bold strategy, that's for sure.
It is bold.
But let's be real. There are also a lot of skeptics out there.
Of course. Yeah.
Some people are saying, hold on, is AI really advancing that fast? Do we really need iris scanning orbs to prove we're human?
That's a fair question.
Yeah.
And some people argue that the existing methods of identity verification,
Yeah.
while they're imperfect,
Yeah.
they are, sufficient for now.
Right.
And they point to, the potential for misuse of biometric data, the concentration of power in the hands of one company.
Right, because this whole thing hinges on trusting World.
Yeah.
And that's a big leap of faith for some people.
It is a big leap of faith. And that's why World is working to build trust,
No.
by being really transparent about their technology, their data security practices, and their commitment to privacy.
Yeah.
But there are also, legitimate philosophical concerns about tying financial access to biometrics.
Right, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
What if you lose access to your World ID, or if the technology malfunctions?
Yeah.
Could people be excluded from essential services?
Those are really important questions, and World's going to need to have, really convincing answers if they want to gain widespread adoption.
Yeah.
I mean, it's clear they're trying to anticipate these issues, but the reality is,
Yeah.
we are entering uncharted territory here.
It's kind of like we're in the Wild West of digital identity.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, speaking of which, let's talk about the economics of Worldcoin.
Right.
How is this whole thing supposed to be sustainable?
Well, their business model is still evolving, but it seems like they are aiming for a multifaceted approach.
Okay.
I mean, first off, there's the Worldcoin token itself.
Right, the cryptocurrency. But how does that actually generate revenue for World?
So it's like this. They created a limited supply of Worldcoin, and they plan to distribute a portion of it to every verified human on the planet.
Okay.
Like, they're calling it a universal basic income in cryptocurrency.
Wow, okay. That's pretty radical.
It's a big idea.
But how does that benefit World?
Well, they're betting that as more people, use World ID and Worldcoin, the value of the token will increase.
Okay.
And they hold a good chunk of those tokens themselves.
Right.
So it's essentially an investment in their own success.
So they are incentivized to make the network as valuable as possible.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
But they're not, putting all their eggs in one basket.
Okay, good.
They're also looking at things like, charging small fees for certain transactions on Worldchain, offering premium services for businesses that integrate with World ID.
So kind of like how credit card companies make money on transaction fees and premium services.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
Okay.
But it's interesting to note that they have pledged to use a portion of their profits for a social good.
Really? Like a philanthropic arm of the company?
It appears so, yeah. They want World to have a positive impact on the world, not just be about profits.
That's a good look. For them, I mean, it's not just about making money. It's about creating a more equitable future, or at least that's the message they are putting out there.
Well, we will see how it all plays out.
Yeah.
But it is a complex balancing act.
For sure. It's like they are trying to create a new kind of capitalism, one that's driven by technology and powered by the people.
It's an interesting idea.
Okay, and that brings us to another important question. Where does World fit into this larger landscape of digital identity?
Yeah.
I mean, there are already so many players in this space, governments, tech giants, startups.
Right.
And a lot of people are already wary of handing over personal data to these entities.
Yeah, definitely.
So how does Worldcoin or World, I guess, differentiate itself?
Well, their key differentiator, I think, is their focus on biometric verification, particularly the iris.
Okay.
They are arguing that it's the most secure and reliable way to prove someone is a real, unique individual.
But what about people who don't have access to an orb, or those who are just uncomfortable with the idea of sharing their biometric data?
Yeah.
How does World address those concerns?
Well, they're rapidly expanding their network of orb operators to reach even like remote areas, and they are emphasizing that participation in the network is voluntary.
So no one is being forced to use Worldcoin.
Right.
But it does raise questions about accessibility, right?
That does.
I mean, if World ID becomes the standard for accessing like essential services online, what happens to those who choose not to participate?
That's a really valid concern, and they'll need to make sure that they aren't creating like a new digital divide,
right,
where those who are verified have access and those who are not are kind of left behind.
Right. So it's not just about building the technology. It's about ensuring equitable access and then protecting individual rights.
Yeah.
But even with all these safeguards, it feels like World is pushing the boundaries of what's considered acceptable when it comes to digital identity.
Absolutely. I mean, they are raising important questions about the balance between security, privacy, and convenience in the digital age.
Yeah.
Questions we all need to be thinking about.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, but I feel like we're just scratching the surface.
Yeah, for sure.
What about the people behind World? Like, who are the driving forces behind this ambitious project?
Well, the most prominent figure is Sam Altman.
Okay.
He's a big name in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
The former president of Y Combinator.
Right.
A renowned startup accelerator.
Okay, so this isn't some fly-by-night operation.
Definitely not. Altman has a proven track record, and he seems to be attracting top talent and investment to World.
Okay, and he's clearly passionate about the potential of AI, but also aware of its risks.
Absolutely, yeah. He sees World as a way to prepare for the AI future, to ensure that, that humans remain in control.
Okay, and then there's Alex Blania, the co-founder.
Right.
He's kind of a young entrepreneur, it seems, with a really deep understanding of the technical side of things.
Exactly. It's a pretty powerful combination.
Yeah.
Visionary leadership and technical expertise.
Yeah.
And they've put together a really diverse team from all over the world, all focused on building a more human-centric internet.
All right, so we have a sense of the technology, the vision, the team, but what about the broader implications? What impact could World have on society if it actually succeeds?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. If they actually achieve their goals, we could see a fundamental shift in how we interact online, for better or for worse.
Like, how would this impact my daily life?
Well, think about all the things we do online that require us to prove who we are. Opening a bank account, voting, accessing government services, even just buying age-restricted products.
It can be such a pain.
It can be such a pain. All that friction, all that hassle.
Yeah.
World ID could potentially streamline all those processes.
Right.
No more digging through your wallet for your driver's license or remembering a million different passwords.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal.
Right.
But it feels like there's a dark side to all of this, too.
Oh, there is. Any technology this powerful has the potential for misuse.
Right.
I mean, one of the biggest concerns is the potential for, surveillance and control.
Yeah.
If governments or corporations gain access to World ID data, they could track our movements, monitor our activities. Yeah. It could be very Big Brother-ish.
That's a scary thought.
It is a little bit scary, yeah.
What's to stop that from happening?
Well, that's why World is emphasizing the importance of decentralization and data privacy.
Okay.
They are claiming that no single entity will have complete control over the network.
Right.
But whether they can actually deliver on that promise, remains to be seen.
So it's a gamble. We're essentially betting on world's good intentions.
In a way, yes. And that's a bet that, not everyone will be willing to make.
Okay, so we've talked about the potential impact on society.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the individual? How could world actually change our, everyday lives?
Well, one of the biggest potential benefits I see is financial inclusion.
Okay.
Worldcoin could give millions of people access to financial services for the first time.
Right.
Imagine being able to, send and receive money, save for the future, build credit.
Yeah.
All because you have a secure, verifiable digital identity.
That's huge, especially for people in developing countries.
Yeah.
Or those who have been traditionally excluded from the financial system.
Yeah.
And it could empower individuals to take control of their own data.
Okay.
Choosing who they share it with and how it's used.
That's a big deal in an age where, data is the new currency.
Yeah, data is definitely the new currency.
But let's be realistic here. Are people really going to be comfortable with this idea of using their iris as like a digital identifier?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, world is betting they will be, but it's going to be a gradual process.
Right.
They acknowledge that not everyone will jump on board right away.
So yeah, but what about those who are left behind? Could world create like a new digital divide?
Yeah.
Between those who are verified and those who are not?
It's a valid concern and one that they'll need to address carefully.
Yeah.
They can't let World ID become a tool of exclusion.
Right.
If it's going to truly succeed, it needs to be a force for good, empowering individuals, creating a more equitable digital world. Yeah. It's a lot to ask of a single company, really.
It is.
To be able to handle all of that.
It's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
But they've certainly set the bar high.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
But I feel like we're just scratching the surface.
I think so.
There are so many layers to this to unpack.
Yeah.
And it's clear that this is just the beginning of a much, much larger story.
It's a story that's still being written and one that we all have a role in shaping.
Yeah.
But for now, I think we've given the listener plenty to chew on.
For sure.
Yeah.
As we've been discussing world, I keep coming back to this idea of control.
Oh,
like who's really in control here? Is it us as individuals, making choices about whether or not to participate?
Yeah.
Or is it the technology itself that's shaping our behavior, pushing us towards a future we haven't fully considered?
That's a really interesting point. It's almost like world is flipping the script on our usual relationship with technology.
Yeah.
We're so used to thinking of technology as like a tool. Something that serves us, makes our lives easier or more entertaining.
Right. We choose to use a smartphone.
Right.
We choose to download an app.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with World, it feels different somehow.
It does.
It feels like we're being asked to give up something kind of fundamental in exchange for the benefits it offers.
Exactly. We're literally giving a piece of ourselves, like our biometric data, to this system.
Right.
And it raises all sorts of questions about the nature of identity, privacy, autonomy.
Right.
In a world where technology is becoming increasingly intertwined with our very being.
It's almost like we're making a deal with the devil, like trading a piece of our soul, or at least our iris, for a more secure and convenient online experience.
That's a powerful way to put it. And it's a dilemma that I think a lot of people are going to struggle with. On the one hand, who wouldn't want a world with less fraud, more security, easier access to essential services?
Right.
But on the other hand, at what cost? Are we really willing to surrender a piece of our privacy, our individuality to achieve those goals?
Yeah. It's like we're being presented with two possible futures. One where we embrace this technology, we hand over our data, and we trust that world will use it responsibly to create a better world.
Yeah.
And another future where we resist, we hold on to our privacy and we risk being left behind in a digital world that's rapidly evolving without us.
And honestly, neither option feels ideal.
Yeah.
It's a tough choice.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's an easy answer.
Right.
But I think it's a choice that each of us needs to make,
Yeah.
Consciously and deliberately based on our own values and belief.
This whole thing reminds me of that old saying.
What's that?
Be careful what you wish for. You just might get it.
Oh, yeah. We've been dreaming of a world without passwords,
Right.
without identity theft, without online scams.
Yeah.
And now here comes World offering us that world, but with a catch.
Exactly. There's always a catch.
Yeah.
And with technology, the catch often comes in the form of unintended consequences,
Right.
We can't fully predict how this technology will evolve, how it will be used, how it will impact our lives in the long term.
Right. So what do we do? How do we navigate this uncertain future?
I think the most important thing is to stay informed.
Okay.
To keep asking questions, to challenge assumptions, and to be aware of the potential risks. We can't just blindly embrace new technologies without considering the implications.
We need to be thoughtful, discerning.
And a little bit skeptical.
Right. Skepticism is healthy, I think.
I think so too.
It keeps us from making, rash decisions, and it allows us to approach new technologies with a critical eye.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that we have a choice.
Yeah. We don't have to passively accept whatever technologies are thrown our way.
Yeah.
We can demand transparency, accountability, and ethical considerations from companies and governments that are developing and deploying these technologies.
Yeah, we can shape the future, but only if we're actively participating in the conversation.
Well said.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what we're trying to do here on the deep dive, to provide the information and insights you need to make informed decisions about the technologies that are shaping our world.
It's about empowering individuals to think critically, to ask questions, and to be active participants in the creation of the future they want to see.
Exactly. And I think that's a pretty good note to end on.
I agree. This has been a truly fascinating deep dive into the world of Worldcoin, or should I say world?
Right.
And it's a complex topic with far-reaching implications, and we've only just scratched the surface.
We have, but I think we've given our listener plenty to ponder. The future of digital identity is still being written, and it's up to each of us to decide what role we want to play in shaping that future.
Well, thank you for joining us on this journey.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And remember, stay curious, stay engaged, and stay informed.
Until next time, keep diving deep.